Okay, I made a mistake. And anybody who's worked on these knows what it is. I had broken one of the studs because of a bad torque wrench. And when I put the head back on, I wasn't paying attention. Do you see the mistake I made? Let me point it out. So this proves to you that I don't know everything. So I want to show my mistakes. The head will bolt on backwards, which is the way I've got it. This water pipe needs to be over here. You see that arrow that says forward? Pointing toward the back. Now I've got to wonder, did I ruin that brand new head gasket? Maybe I'll try some little extra torque. I don't know. It's funny. You have to laugh at your mistakes and keep going. So I got to pull the head back off and retorque it. All my bolts are hooked up. This hose just slips right here and has a tie wrap. That's all you need to tie wrap that off. Got this on properly now. And I am getting ready to set the carburetor. The WSM set that I bought has the metallic carburetor base plate gaskets with a material, I think, that kind of fuses to the carburetor as it heats up. Most of the ones you're going to buy aftermarket are paper based with some of them have a fiber and then a metal inside. Some of them are all paper. I've used all of them. They all seem to work. I think that the idea with these metal ones is that they are reusable if you put sealant back on them. I don't know, but with the head gasket, I did some reading, and lots of people said that they had used the same head gasket 12 times. All they did was put a lacquer, a metallic lacquer, like copper coat on it and redo it. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying people said it, okay? So they're claiming you can reuse a head gasket. That's not something that I generally do. But to make your life easier with installing these carburetor base gaskets, put your little sealant, very thin coat, to tack it to here. Let it dry a little bit before you try to put your carburetor on. Because what you're going to find is, as you're wiggling and wobbling everything, trying to get your hoses all connected and your cables all connected, you're going to find that those get knocked out of place. I kind of like the ones that have the double here, because then it's easier for it to stay in place. All these single ones are hard to keep in place. They have lineup pins, but only on one side on the back. See, there's no lineup pin here. So that gasket will move on you. If you had the double gasket here, doesn't have a tendency to move as much because you've got a lineup pin and a lineup pin holding it. And your front one does have two pins, so it'll hold pretty steady. But usually this is the one that would move on me when I had a double gasket back there. They do make a full gasket that goes all the way, all three. The reason they did a split gasket was that the older 1100s had a accelerator pump that the lever for it came down into this area, and you couldn't have a solid triple gasket going through there because you would have to cut that out to allow clearance for the accelerator pump. Those 96, 97 ZXI 1100s had that. The 900, you can easily get away with the triple gasket all the time. But that triple gasket isn't made for this one because it won't have these holes cut in it for the lineup pins for your carburetor. And you want to make sure that none of your old gasket is on the base. Well, that's the top. This is the base. I had that one single stuck to it like this. I had to pull off and then wire wheel brush it. And if you ever go in and move your jets, on the bottom, drill them out, you know, those caps to mess with those low jets, You're going to have to seal it back up just like I did, because I ended up having to take it back off. There are no O-rings on those low needles. So if you mess with those, you've created a vacuum leak. And then you've got to go back and seal it up. And I just sealed it up with a red silicone sealant. And there you go. Look at that. I got an old Oetiker clamp I got to pull off of there. So get all this ready. Carburetor on is the next step. Okay, the carburetor is set. While you're setting, go ahead and hook this in. I have the carburetor tilted up on its side. I should have showed it. To hook all of the oil lines up and clamp the Oetiker clamps down. In other words, it's turned upside on its, these are facing straight down with it over in here. That way you can access the oil lines. Make sure your oil lines are plenty long enough. And you have to be very careful not to pinch your oil lines underneath the carburetor while you're setting. Like I said, the gaskets want to move. Once you get it, you'll have it's not going to wobble. Okay, the carburetor's going to be, it'll feel right. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever pulled these on. But it sets and there's no wobble. And then you go in with the air box, your choke cable. You slide it through, tighten up the Phillips screw for your choke cable. Remembering, this is your return line on the top, okay? The middle is your pulse line. The bottom is the fuel inlet. That's where this line goes with the filter on it. That goes on the very bottom. This is your pulse line in the middle. Return line up top. It's easy to get these two accidentally reversed because look at that. That hose is right there. That little pulse line hose. It'll slip on either one. You put it on the wrong one, your ski is going to run. Okay? So then you'll figure out maybe you did it wrong. But that's it. We'll put the return, the pulse, the inlet. I'll have to turn the fuel on, get this filter filled. It's going to take a while, but I'll probably pour some pre-mixed fuel into the top to get it to where it'll suck some fuel in good. And put my air box on. And I did want to show, next we're going to be going on with this piece. And that's generally how I pull them. Just like that, because there are washers under each one of these bolts. But here, yours may be missing this sticker. So I just want to show it for you. There you go. So it's manufactured 98, but it's a 99 model. Look at the plug. It tells you to use BR9 ES. I've used BR8 ESs in all of these, which is fine. It's just one heat range cooler of a plug. Okay, that's the difference between a BR9 ES and a BR8 ES. It's a colder heat range of a plug. I know in automotive, we were taught you can go 2 heat ranges hotter or 2 heat ranges lower on a car. I don't know about a jet ski. I do know I've run these BR8 ESs in Yamahas, Kawasaki's. They seem to run fine. But it does call for a BR9 ES on this cover piece. So there you go. I'll get all of it together and let's see if this thing will fire up. Well, there you are. First fire up of a fresh build. Hose is running. Smokes like crazy, guys, because you got all that oil from the build. This is what you're gonna get. You see I got the water coming out now. That's what we want to see. All my vacuum slides are moving. Good to go. I'm gonna let her idle on the hose for a bit. Then I'll go ahead and put the airbox cover and the flame arresters on. Looks like a successful build. Thanks for watching. Shade Tree Jet Ski. We got it going on, baby.